Welcome to the Inner Game podcast. This is a podcast where I have conversations with founders, CEOs about their insights, their breakthroughs, and the turning points that have made them become successful. And today I have a great man in front of me. I will have a conversation with Anthony Barry, and he is the founder of Anthony Barry Coaching. So let's start this wonderful opportunity. My first question to everyone, I mean, is Anthony, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on this podcast and speak to you today.
Thank you, Anthony. So you are from the UK, from London specifically.
That's right. Yes, I'm in London. It was
Mm.
sunny. It's got a bit cold now, but it's okay.
Yeah, here
I'm
it's
there.
raining, so you're okay. Anthony, we have three questions. Yeah. So
Mhm.
my first question is about leadership, and that's about what was your perception, your vision about leadership that has changed today?
Well, early on in my career, when I was working as in finance as a finance manager, I was very much about process and tasks because we had quarterly reports we had to write, monthly reports we had to write. So I was very much task driven, probably not the best manager to work for. And it did cause me a few staffing problems with staff who couldn't handle such a hard task manager. And what I learned was it's more important to focus on the people and having a vision. And then it created a much more conducive and helpful atmosphere. And team effort was much better when you focus on people first. Yeah, tasks are well, but the people first. People want to know that you care about them and you have a shared
Mhm.
vision about what you're trying to achieve. And then it makes the task much easier to deliver.
That's a great one. So what you're saying is being focused on people first before being task focused.
Yes,
Yeah. Mhm.
because people are not widgets. They've got emotions, they've got feelings, they've got things going on. If you show interest in that, then they'll repay you far more back in their dedication and loyalty to whatever task you're trying to achieve.
How long was that ago?
Early in my career, probably about 30 years ago now, when I was
Whoa.
first as a manager, and it stuck with me. Um, so I've learned from that lesson to be more people focused.
And when did the change come? Was that like very early already, or was later in your career?
Early in my career, um, but it's something I've had to remind myself because sometimes, like when I was working in developing a Black and Asian staff network. There was some legislation that came in following the death of Stephen Lawrence, which meant that it gave us a bit more power to drive through changes. And I knew there was a short window to drive those changes through to improve the career development opportunities for Black and Asian staff.
Hmm.
But not everyone in my committee understood it. And so I was a bit pushy to try and get things done because they didn't really understand the urgency that the time was now. The window of opportunity was here.
Hmm.
Um, but we had a shared vision, so it's about getting a balance. But sometimes you have to put your foot down and say, "Look, we have to go now. We can't wait because timing in life is crucial.
Hmm.
Sometimes you may want to do something, but it's the wrong time, and you have the time when you have the opportunity, and you have the timing. You have to go for it.
Hmm. Hmm. So that was a kind of a turning point.
It was a turning point because I found it was much more beneficial, more rewarding, more conducive, more it's a better way of working. It can be a bit confrontational when you're so task driven. You wind people up because they feel they're on their back and no one likes to be nagged. And when you're a bit more warmer and I say more concerned about the people that you're working with, it creates a much better atmosphere.
Hmm. Hmm. Can you give me that's actually a second question. Can you give me like a more specific example or elaborate a little bit more on that turning point that really changed your perception or opinion or vision on leadership?
But when I was working in finance, I criticized the organization I was working for, which focused on people delivering service to people with learning disabilities. And a report came out saying that services to Black and Asian service users were not very culturally appropriate. Things like the
Hmm.
skincare, hair cream, food, etc., were not geared up to their cultural needs. So I challenged the organization to do something about it. And they won an award from the Department of Health to put this project in place. And they asked me to lead it. I'm not
Hmm.
quite sure if they set me up to fail because I was in finance. And although I had a diploma in management, so I knew I could manage any project, I knew very little about managing service with people with learning disabilities.
Hmm.
So I decided that I was going to be open to the people and said, look, I can run the project, but I need help with the specifics about managing the service with learning disabilities. I'm going to make the change. I need to understand the service better. So I
Hmm.
went out and I found out the key stakeholders who I needed to be on board. I told them my vision. I said, look, this is what I want to do, but I need your help to achieve it. Tell me what I need to do. The response was great because by being open and honest, I realized that it's not about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions. It isn't all about you. It's not about you, it's about who you bring on board to share the vision with. And
Hmm.
I'm a great believer that when you have a shared, strong vision and you share it, God will send you people that you don't expect to come along. So I remember as part of promoting the project and getting people on board, we did this cultural event where I needed a mixture of Asian and Caribbean and African speakers. And I asked the leader at the time of Haringey Council, um, uh, Gerbert Singh, his name was, a man I'd never met before. I shared
Hmm.
the vision to him, and to my surprise, the man cancelled his holiday to come and speak at my event. I was shocked. I didn't know the man. And that's when I realized the importance of being honest, open, and bringing the right people on board to help you. And you'd be surprised how far you can go. And certainly with in my coaching career, where I was trying to do a lot of stuff on my own, building my business, having now taken on a marketing company to help me promote the business. There are a lot of
Hmm.
things which I was unconsciously aware of that I could be doing, which they have now introduced, and it's made the business development a lot better, more professional, if you like.
Hmm.
So again, it's about being clear about what your boundaries are and your knowledge, not trying to do everything, not trying to pretend you know all the answers, but to say, well, openly, even as a coach, sometimes you might be coaching and say, look, you might not be able to answer it, helping that maybe need to refer on to somebody else. It's admitting that you can't always do everything and not trying to
Hmm.
set yourself as a know-all.
Hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask you this about can you give me an example in your current position as a coach? But
Mm.
that's already a great example. But so if I understood well, you're saying that you should not, if you have a vision, you should not expect somebody or some people to come and help you, but you really have to express it, to just tell them, look, I need help. Is this what you said?
What I'm saying is that once you have a compelling vision that you're clear about and you believe in, you will attract people in. So when I was running the project for Black and Asian staff, I had national people who had run successful organizations in the Black Police Federation, the criminal justice system, who came and helped me
Hmm.
in my early days when I wasn't quite sure because I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't necessarily know how to do it. And I think sometimes people get constrained by the pressure of knowing every step. You don't need to know every step. You need to
Hmm.
take the first step and you need to be clear
Hmm.
on what you're trying to achieve.
Hmm.
And once you have that, and you promote small wins, you don't have to have a big win. You promote small wins. So I learned this from in this country. You had a government, a Labour government, which was run by Tony Blair, and they were constantly rehashing all their successes over and over again. And I
Hmm.
learned from that if you keep on producing a story, even if you
Hmm.
repeat it, You can change a narrative from we can't do this to we can do this because you keep replaying the success. It doesn't matter if it's the same success, just keep replaying it. And
Mm,
eventually people's mindsets will change. And I know when I've worked in big organizations in trying to make change, you work with people, the willing, and those
mm,
who are causing opposition will eventually will melt away because you get momentum.
mm,
And in coaching, sometimes you might work with someone who's not ready yet to make the changes,
mm,
and you then have to be patient
mm,
and not try to force them to, but to encourage them, keep encouraging should they're ready to make that commitment. Because as much as you may want to help someone to do something, if they're not ready, there's no point pushing it until they are ready. You just got to keep
mm,
encouraging them. And once they're
mm,
ready, then you can give them the information you need. But until then, you got to keep encourage them until they see the light.
mm, mm. A great one. Thank you. It brings me to the last question. Um, to be able to perform, yeah, in your coaching business, maybe rather than your position when you were a manager in the finances. Um, what are those routines or habits that you keep on doing to be able to perform, not maybe always on the same level, but to keep on going? What is it that you're doing?
I think it's essential as a coach that you're constantly pushing yourself. You need to have routines that make you um, push yourself. So in the mornings, I have a routine where I spend the first hour in meditation, prayer, and goal setting. I do the same thing before I go to bed, and I have an audio which I play about changing mindset and program my mind for success because we're all programmed. From the time you're seven, they say they can predict your life outcomes from what you are at 7 years old because of the programs that are in your head at 7 years old. So it takes a consistent effort to keep changing your mindset, to be the person you are brought on earth to be,
Mm,
and not be allowed outside factors to restrict your possibilities, or people who may love you but don't see you as a certain person saying, look, you don't try, you can't do that.
mm,
But to go beyond their expectations, to redefine yourself.
mm,
And once you push yourself, you'd be surprised what doors will open for you. I was invited to go and speak at a women's international event in February, which I never saw coming.
mhm,
Um, I only met you last week and you invited me on this podcast today, and I didn't see that coming. And so things will happen for you once you start to believe that you can achieve. And don't worry so much about how,
mhm,
focus on the why.
mhm,
Why is it important to you? You need to know the why.
mhm,
Why is so important? Because once you know the why, when you have the inevitable setbacks, and life will test you,
mhm,
you need to know that once you're knocked down, you can get back up again because your why picks you back up again. If you don't have a strong enough why, you can't achieve anything because when the setbacks come, you use that as an excuse to stop.
mhm,
But as Les Brown, one of my favorite motivation speakers, says, when life knocks you down, all you make sure is you're on your back because if you can look up, you can get up. And
mhm,
that's how I look at life. When you ever get
mhm,
knocked back as a coach, you keep looking up and you keep looking, and don't pretend you have all the answers. Sometimes you don't have the answer. Maybe you need to refer them on to somebody else. Maybe you
mhm,
have to get back to them. Your
mhm,
job is not to be a know-all. Your job is to ask the right questions and
mhm,
support the person and to give them hope and belief, even if they don't have it. Keep giving it to them until they get it themselves.
mhm,
But you can't do intensive work with anybody until they're ready to move on because you're just throwing water into stony ground. You'll just run away. You need to make sure the ground you're pouring onto is fertile.
mhm,
And that may mean you have to wait. You may have to give more newsletters, more inspirational messages, videos, whatever it might be. And when they're ready, you go.
Anthony, this is really a great coaching session for me.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much. These are really great takeaways um, from being task focused to people focused, asking the right questions when you need help, but first having a vision.
mm,
Um, Your vision should be bigger than you. So yeah, the why, not the how. When you can look up, you can get up.
Mm.
Great. So thank you for those sharings and insights. It was really great. And for the people watching those episodes, those podcasts,
Mm.
please keep on challenging yourself. And Anthony, thank you so much for your presence, your time, and also your passion about coaching, which is really impactful already on me.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoyed the podcast and meeting you. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Bye bye.
Bye bye.